You know you are not your revenue. So why does a quiet launch still make you question everything? Last week, we talked about something really important. The moment business starts to get fused with your identity, who you are. When a slow month doesn't just feel disappointing, but starts to make you wonder whether you're not really cut out for this. And you see, once that starts to happen, a subtle shift moves in. Your nervous system will start looking for proof that that is true. And instead of growing your business, you're busy looking for safety. And of course, that's where the looping begins, right? That pattern where every time you look at a number, at a result, you get sent back into those negative, heavy, hard emotions and find yourself pushing, fixing, polishing without ever actually stopping to ask the right questions to get some clarity. And that is what we're going to unpack today. Not just the pattern itself, but why it keeps repeating for you and why thinking your way out of it is probably not going to work. Now, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I would humbly suggest you should. Click the link above because this episode builds on it directly. But here is the short version. When your business performance gets fused with your identity, when a slow month feels like evidence there's something wrong with you, your nervous system stops looking for truth and starts looking for safety. And safety, that looks a little different for different people. Some of you prove, some of you push harder, some of you hide away, some of you polish everything, trying to find the perfect product, the perfect post, the perfect email. And some of you withdraw. You go quiet and you tell yourself you just need more time. Different behaviors, same root origin. Business is feeling personal. And today, we're going to go one layer deeper because naming that pattern is not the same as interrupting it. Here is what actually happens when results come in that don't feel good. And I'm talking about any result: low sales, quiet launches, slow weeks, a post that goes nowhere and gets no likes, a proposal that doesn't convert with your client. Your brain gets that information within minutes, sometimes even in seconds, and it starts to form a story. Not a strategy, not even a question, an entire narrative straight away. And that story often sounds something like, I'm the problem, the system's the problem, or God, I'm doing this wrong, I'm definitely not cut out for this. And then, and this is the part I really need you to pay attention to, you go looking for evidence. You retreat back into the stats, the analytics, the numbers, and it feels really logical. It feels like you're being a good business owner. You're being data-driven, you're being responsible, but you're not. No, because you're not looking at those numbers with curiosity. You are looking through those numbers with fear for proof that you are right. And that is a very different energy, isn't it? Fear has a very specific effect on the kinds of questions that you begin asking and interrogating that data with. When you're regulated, you have genuine business clarity. You can look at the number and ask questions like, what is this number telling me about my launch, about my post? What is working? What didn't work? And then you can learn from that. You can experiment with it. You can have fun with it. When you're in fear, those questions just aren't the ones you're asking. Instead, you're scanning and looking for information that backs up the story that you've already got running in your head. And sometimes you won't even know that's what you're doing because it's all happening in the unconscious mind. You're looking for something to fix. You're looking for a problem to solve. The action that will make this uncomfortable feeling stop when you didn't even need to have the uncomfortable feeling in the first place. And so if you end up doing this for days, even weeks, you're working often on the wrong thing entirely. And that is also the cause of quiet burnout in all of us beautiful business owners. Not collapse, not dramatic breakdown, just an overwhelmed entrepreneur who keeps showing up, keeps working really, really hard, but can't work out why they cannot break through to the next level. And it's not because you're not smart. My goodness, look at you working so hard. It's amazing. And it's not because you don't know your business. It's because you're not asking the right questions. Here's the part that makes it really sticky. The doing makes you feel better because it makes you feel like you're taking action, like it's working. When I'm in this loop, and I have been in it more times than I care to remember, I definitely had a story running that I needed to be useful and productive. And I'd connected that with what I was doing in my business. So I would push harder and harder and harder until I almost come across as a little bit desperate, which is awful. And I'm laughing now, but that was what I used to do. I would be like, right, I've got to do this. And it's kind of like desperate energy. I'm not sitting here calling people in anymore. I am pulling like, oh, please, oh my God, prove to me that I'm okay and that you really want to work with me. That is not the right energy to call in your ideal client, is it? It's actually going to push them away, not pull them towards you. None of it changes anything for the better. I learned that there's a real difference from moving from a grounded place where my business is my business and I have my own self-worth and my own me. And I'm able to look at my business as a game and say, okay, interesting. What can I learn from this? There's a big difference between that and being in fear and being afraid this isn't going to work and working really, really hard to try and make it work. That energy is very different. It looks identical from the outside. If you came and watched me, I'm busy doing my thing. But from the inside and the intention is very different. And the key is to notice that that's what's happening, first of all. So there's cost here, not just on the time you're spending doing things that aren't actually going to help you reach your goals, but there's also the cost that you'll never find out what's going on for you inside. And so this pattern is going to keep showing up everywhere, not just in your business. Every time you move and you act from a place of deregulation instead of clarity, you're acting before you really understand what needs to be done. And so the next time a result comes in and it makes you feel something heavy, all I want you to do is notice. Whoa, there's that big, heavy emotion. That's the first step. Because when you notice it, you can ask yourself, am I regulated enough right now to look at this through the lens of clarity and calm? Or am I about to go on another loop like Selena does and work really, really hard until I burn out and then wonder why I'm not getting anywhere? I've done all this work. I think I was taught that effort equaled worth. School, I don't know what it was. Can you relate to that? And so I had to unlearn that because like a lot of my clients, I was saying things like, I've tried everything, when actually what I'd been doing was repeating the same loop over and over again and getting exactly the same result. I think there's a quote about the definition of insanity that lines up with that beautifully. A different offer, different strategy, different branding, same reaction. So the one thing that's really important here, I'm a very intellectual person and I was trying to solve it really intellectually with my mind and still I couldn't do that. You can understand that your nervous system is activated though. You can start to pay attention to those feelings rather than the thoughts and go, oh, okay, I'm feeling heavy and sad and so I need to do something about that first. Because thinking about the loop isn't the same as getting out of it. Your brain, when it's in a fear state, is extraordinarily good at keeping you safe, keeping you in the patterns that mean no harm will come to you, even if that means you are going to be stuck in the same loop. Your brain thinks that's great because the same loop doesn't hurt you. Maybe you have a different opinion. What actually interrupts that loop isn't thinking, it's going inward and feeling what's actually there, connecting with what's actually underneath your response and your reaction, the urgency, the productivity, the hiding away, the convincing story that you have formed. You need to get to know that story. And most of us find that really hard to do on our own because we are so inside our head. We need a different perspective. For me, I have my own business coach. I have my own NLP therapist, and those are the people who I unpack this with. I go, oh, I'm hitting a wall, and we work on it together. It's a really important part of my leadership. I don't go there to be told what to do or to be given an 8-part formula, but to ask the right questions, to have someone encourage me and help me find the right questions, the ones that I'm not able to access in that moment because I'm probably dysregulated. And the more I practice it, the faster I spot it and the faster I get out of the loop, which means my business is growing faster and faster. So what does it look like when I interrupt the loop? Well, it starts, like I say, with noticing it first. And one thing I find really hard is to not judge it, not feel frustrated by it, not like, oh God, not you again. I need to give it some grace. I just need to notice. And that might be journaling, for example. So when you're looking at that number, whatever that may be, make a note of what comes up. Notice what your body is telling you, not your mind. Pause. And before you do anything, before you pivot, before you rewrite, before you hide in the corner, regulate your system, regulate yourself. Just pause and ask yourself maybe these 3 questions. What story have I just told myself? Write it down. What have you decided that number actually means? Because you decided the number means absolutely nothing. You've put a story to it. Secondly, if I was completely emotionally neutral now, even if I was somebody else, a trusted advisor looking in, what would they see? What would they notice? What would they ask? Give yourself a bit of distance. What does this data actually tell me? Not what does my nervous system tell me about this data? And thirdly, what is one grounded action I can take today? One. Not rewrite the whole course, do 6 different nurture emails. One action. And that one action might be go for a walk, do some breath work, go to the gym, eat some really healthy food, take myself out with my girlfriends and laugh. Whatever it is, it might be nothing to do with your business. It might be all about regulating and coming back to you. But I want you to find one positive action you can take today. Just one. Now, these questions are super simple when you are regulated and in the flow. When you're in the loop, however, they become quite complicated and you may find yourself feeling a little resistant and resentful of them. Notice that too. When I say may, I'm sharing a little of my own story here. And that is why this work, separating the story that you have in your mind, noticing it, becoming aware of it, and then working through it, is not work that you do alone often. And it's definitely not something you do at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. As I say, it's work that best happens in conversation with someone who can help you ask the right questions and see what you cannot see because you are so deep in it. That is what creates burnout-free growth. That is why we need business circles and mentors and coaches. Not more effort, not more doing, but a lot more clarity. Now, on March the 24th, I'm going to go live in my Zoom room to run a webinar called The Clarity Shift. And I would really love to see you there because we're going to do this. I want to be honest about what it is and what it isn't. First of all, it's not a strategy session. I am not going to give you a 5-step plan to fabulousness. I don't believe in those things. What I'm going to do is exactly what we've just discussed here. We're going to explore the layers underneath the strategies that you are employing in your business. We're going to look at the place where clarity actually lives for you and why, no matter how much you refine your product, your offer, your website, your messaging, your pricing, nothing is going to shift too far until you address these underlying stories. Now, if the last couple of episodes have stirred something for you, have made you think, oh my goodness, this is exactly what's happening to me. I would love you to be in the room. Let's talk about it. It's totally free. It's live. It's free. And I'm afraid there will be no replays. So you need to be there. The link to register for that is in the description below. Please come and join me on the 24th. Now, before I let you go, I need you to know that this reaction loop is really normal. It is not you being less than. That is actually incredibly important. And it's about your brain being an amazing thing. It's trying to protect you. It's really, really normal. This protection mechanism may have formed when you were a child. Something happened when you were 4 that causes this. Honestly, you would be surprised how many of myself and my clients find that the reason we can't grow our business is something we decided when we were a kid. It's designed to keep you safe. That's a wonderful thing. Sometimes, however, that pattern that you're running no longer serves you because you are not a kid anymore and you have all this amazing life experience and you are ready to move to the next level. That's why we pause, we connect with it, we reassure it, and we move through it with grace and with gratitude. Remember that a slow month, slow sales, lower numbers are not about you personally. They are about your business. And it's a fun game, this business lark. Once you can separate yourself from what your business is doing, you can support it to grow like you have never been able to before. Trust me. So stay curious. And I'll see you on the 24th of March. Until next time, take care.